Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Today we have Savannah Resources Plc, which is a ticker SAV, listed on AIM, and we have David Archer, who is the CEO. Welcome, David.
Good afternoon.
So you've had a pretty, what I would call, bumper RNS out this morning, but before we go into that, can you just give an introduction to Savannah Resources for those listeners who may not have looked into your company before?
Okay, sure, very happy to. Savannah's listed on the London Stock Exchange on AIM. We have a market capitalisation of about £30 million. We have a series of three projects. Firstly, mineral sands in Mozambique in a joint venture with Rio Tinto over the Tier 1 world-class Matamba heavy mineral sands project just north of Maputo in Mozambique. The second major project is a copper mine development in Oman, where we're looking to bring into production and produce copper concentrate from a underground and an open cut mine in Oman, both very high grade copper resources. And finally, we have an early stage grassroots exploration project in Finland for lithium.
Okay, so let's get on to this RNS then today about the Portuguese prospects. Do you want to just give us some of the highlights there?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think the important thing is we see lithium as being one of the most important of this class of metals that are now called energy metals. That includes things like nickel, cobalt, lithium and copper. And we already have exposure to these energy metals with our Finnish lithium project and with our Omani copper project. But we believe that the Portuguese initiative will dramatically augment our lithium portfolio and take us into a frame where we can look forward to potentially being one of the larger lithium suppliers in Europe. Lithium is a key energy metal, particularly in battery manufacture, and demand for lithium is very much outstripping supply. The world's largest supplier of lithium, Albemarle, in fact, is pretty much sort of sold out for the next 5 years. So it provides a really very good landscape for us to go forward in Portugal. In terms of the specific Portuguese project, it comprises, one of the more extensive portfolios of lithium ground in Portugal. Totals over 1,000 square kilometres in area, and importantly, includes a mining lease, which gives us a significant advantage in terms of being able to move this project into production. It's an approved mining lease, 30-year mining concession with an approved mining plan and environmental impact statement. There will have to be some work to amend the framework of the mining lease to accommodate the production of lithium. The mining lease was originally granted for the production of feldspar, quartz and lithium, so we'll be doing some work on that. But the important thing is that there's also been a lot of work done on the mining lease and the deposit that sits within the mining lease. There's been something like 115 drill holes on the area, and some really excellent widths and grades of lithium mineralisation. Up to 35 metres at 1.16% lithium, 12 metres at 1.6, and some trenching on one of the more prospective areas there called rather promisingly the Grandeo prospect, where we had a trench result of 35 metres at 1.67% lithium, which is really a very, very high number in the lithium space. The other sort of key element of it all is that there has been a lot of metallurgical test work that's been that's been conducted, and that shows that a high-grade lithium concentrate grading at greater than 6% with very low iron can be produced. The other key element with these deposits is that they're generally characterised by the lithium mineral called spodumene. That's the most common lithium mineral and the best understood from a metallurgical test work point of view. So we think that the project is very well poised to, particularly serve the European market, and Europe itself consumes around about 25% of the world's consumption of lithium at the moment, and of course looking for that to move up quite sort of significantly in terms of overall sort of tonnage of usage, particularly as the move to electric vehicles continues apace. I think there's something like 1% of the global fleet is electric at the moment, and that will go up to a figure of about 10% by 2025. And of course, anyone who lives in London well knows that we'd all like to see more of those particulate producing diesel vehicles off the roads, and a much better and cleaner atmosphere for large cities like London.
You're obviously looking for a development decision at the end of 2018. How are you going to finance the project towards that?
Well, we're in very good financial shape. We raised £3.25 million in cash earlier this year. And we have a highly supportive core shareholder, or cornerstone shareholder in the Al Marjan Group with a 29.9% shareholding interest. So I think we're probably better placed than most AIM companies at our particular stage at the moment. In terms of the development costs for a project there, still too early to tell. But, we sort of see our market capitalisation hopefully sort of increasing, and, we'll be utilising, the usual sources or accessing the usual sources of capital to fund both the evaluation and ultimately the development of a mine project in Portugal.
And so in terms of going back to this mining licence, you mentioned it's a 30-year licence, but am I right in thinking it actually started in 2006?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And what kind of amount of resource do you expect to be able to pull out of the ground over that period?
Well, the mining lease, as it's presently licensed, speaks to mining around about 7 million tonnes of material. So, that's probably sort of a good reference number.
I mean, given that you already have a lithium prospect in Finland, how does acquiring this new prospect sort of take away or add to in terms of, does it move the focus away from Finland at all, or are you still full steam ahead on all fronts?
Well, I think the Portuguese projects will be the principal point of focus for us in lithium. They're much more advanced than the Finnish projects, which are still grassroots, early stage. We'll continue our evaluations in Finland, but very much the full emphasis will be applied to Portugal, mainly because it's far more developed. There's a much more extensive database of information around the extent of the deposits there, and nice place to work too. Portugal's a pretty sunny place at this time of the year.
Yeah, good golf too as well, I hear.
That's right.
So, I mean, this is looking at being one of the largest lithium sort of prospects in Europe. What can we expect from Savannah in the next quarter of this year? Obviously, the timetable says there's obviously a lot more drilling and exploration to go on, but I mean, when are we maybe expecting some results from those?
Well, we'll be going as hard as we can. I don't want to be tied down too much in terms of month outcomes. But, We'll be certainly undertaking mapping, sampling, assay analysis, and we'll be looking to move drill rigs onto the property in coming weeks and start to drill away there to, particularly in the areas which have got existing drill data around them, with a view to being able to define a resource that will be announceable later this year. So certainly it'll be a news-rich environment. Lots of activity will be going on, and I think the thing is that I think Europeans are really very interested in this whole energy space. Everything that's happening broadly is very sort of supportive of these energy metals. What you're seeing with distributed power generation from solar and wind, that will really require a huge sort of upgrade in distributed storage using lithium batteries, sourced from lithium such as our own. We've got all of those health problems that are arising in cities as a result of diesel fumes, etc. And I think an enormous sort of shift that we'll be seeing in the percentage of electric vehicles on our roads. I think next year the tipping point will occur in terms of cost of ownership of electric vehicles versus traditional motor vehicles will be equivalent, and so I just sort of see a massive sort of increase in electric vehicles on the roads, and of course they're very heavily reliant on these energy metals such as lithium and copper. And so battery consumption globally is just going up at very strong sort of growth rates. In 2015, battery consumption was about 70 gigawatt hours per annum. That'll probably go up by a factor of around about 8 by 2025. So this is really a growth space, and I think an ideal area for Savannah to be operating in.
Okay, David, and is there anything at all you'd like to add to that today?
Not really. We're all pretty busy, and we've been sort of delighted with this acquisition. It's been a while coming. We've undertaken extensive due diligence, and we're really looking forward to delivering on behalf of our shareholders with this project over the coming years.
Okay, so that's David Archer, CEO for Savannah Resources Plc, ticker SAV on AIM. Thank you for your time, David.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.